Margo? Margo?
Yes. Hello? Hello?
Hello. Mrs. Scott.
Yes?
This is Dr. Corwin at Monticello General.
Oh, yes, doctor. What is it? How is she?
Don't worry. It isn't bad news, but there is a change. Your mother regained consciousness early this morning.
Oh, thank God.
Now, I don't want to raise your hopes, but I thought you'd want to know.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, thank you, doctor. Margo, she regained consciousness. But she didn't say anything?
I'm afraid not. But she made some sounds that were more than reflexive, and she opened her eyes and seemed somewhat aware of her surroundings.
Is she awake right now?
No, not really. Well, she's in a state closer to normal sleep than coma.
Listen, doctor, if I came by, do you think she'd recognize me or maybe even talk to me?
I won't make any promises, Mrs. Scott.
Well, listen, I'm going to come by anyway, all right? I'll be there just as soon as I can. Thank you very much for calling.
Bye-bye.
Oh, she opened her eyes, Draper.
Thank God for that.
Oh, yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah. Is that what Dr. Corwin said, that she's going to recover now?
No, he didn't exactly say that, but well, you know how doctors are.
Yeah.
They don't want to commit themselves, make any, optimistic forecasts just in case they're wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, but I'll tell you what I think. I think the fact that he called me and told me, I think she's gonna be all right, Draper. She's gonna be able to talk to me, and you know what that means? She's gonna be able to tell us what happened.
Yeah. That's important.
Damn right, it's important.
It's more than important. It's essential, honey. Let's face it. The way it stands now, I am the only one who could have done.
Draper, don't say it. I don't even want you to think it.
Now, come on,
okay?
honey. Let's not kid ourselves. Why do you think Mallory wants me downtown this morning? Yeah, I better get going. I have to be there at 9:30. I want to give Mike a call too. See if he can cover for me at the office.
Does Mike know what happened?
Yeah, I gave him a call last night. Told him the whole story. As much as I knew.
Hello?
Mike, it's Draper.
Oh, good morning, Draper.
Good morning.
Anything new to report?
Yeah, the doctor called this morning, and Margo has regained consciousness. That's a good sign.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that. Considering what you told me last night about the peculiar circumstances.
Oh, it is peculiar, Mike. You know, I don't know who did this, but I'll be damned if I can figure out how he got out of that apartment without my seeing him.
Well, I'm sure there's a simple explanation.
Yeah, if it's so simple, why haven't I figured it out yet?
Look, if there's anything I can do, Draper...
Yeah, Mike, there is something you can do. I was wondering, could you cover for me at the office this morning? I've got to be down at police headquarters.
I see. Well, that's understandable. Naturally, you do have to make a formal statement.
Yeah, they want me down there about 9:30. It shouldn't take more than an hour.
Tell you what, I'll meet you there.
What for?
Well, you do have to make an official statement to the police, and in circumstances like that, we always recommend to our clients that they have legal representation.
Yeah, but Mike, I haven't been charged with anything.
Yes, I realize that.
Yeah, okay, Mike. That's a good point. I would appreciate it if you have the time, to be down there.
You can count on it. Goodbye, Draper.
Change in plans?
Yes, instead of going to the office, I'm going to headquarters. I want to be with Draper when he gives his statement to the police.
But you tell me there isn't a chance that he's involved in this.
Of course there isn't. At least, as far as I'm concerned.
So this was your first day on the job, huh, Dennis? Quite an introduction, wasn't it?
Oh, I couldn't believe my ears when I heard about it on the radio.
Had you ever met Margo Dorn before, Dennis?
No, sir, I hadn't. But As far as I know, she was in her apartment the whole time I was on duty.
There must be more than 100 people living on our side of the building, Chief. Takes time to get to know who they are.
Yes, of course, but you must know them all by now, Oscar.
Well, yes, sir. I've been there since the day the place opened.
Now, you're both supposed to announce all visitors before you send them up, is that right?
Yes, sir, we do, unless, of course, we know the people and know they're expected.
As in the case with Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir. I sent him right upstairs in the private elevator on account of Mrs. Dorn told me to do that.
But what about other people who went to visit Mrs. Dorn that day? She did have visitors.
Oh, yes, sir. She had quite a few. Of course, I didn't know who they were.
You don't recall their names, any of them?
No, sir, I'm afraid not.
You don't keep a record of them?
Just the number, miss. That's all we're asked to do. We check the book as each visitor arrives, and then we check it again as they go out.
Is that the book?
Oh, yes, sir. Brought it with me, just like you asked. Got the place marked for you.
Well, it looks here like Mrs. Dorn had 9 visitors that day.
9 checked in and 9 checked out.
So if this is right, that negates the theory of the hidden assailant. So you came on duty at 7 o'clock, Oscar? What time was it when Mrs. Dorn told you she was expecting her son-in-law?
Well, not until she came home about 8.
Did you see her leave the building?
No, sir. She must have gone out during Dennis's shift.
What time did you leave, Dennis?
Well, I talked with Oscar for a while, about half hour maybe, and then I went down to the basement to change clothes. By the time I got back upstairs, it was almost 8.
So you saw Mrs. Dorn then?
Oh, no, miss, I didn't. She'd already gone upstairs. But I did see the man.
Draper Scott?
Yes, at least that's who Oscar said it was.
Oscar, I know you've told us this a dozen times, but are you sure about the time that Draper and Mrs. Dorn entered the private elevator?
Yes, sir, I do not have any doubt about it. Mrs. Dorn came home almost on the nose of 8 o'clock, and she said to me, and I remember her exact words, she said, "Oscar, I'm expecting my son-in-law shortly. Please send him right up."
She got right into the elevator, and then a moment later...
Mr. Scott came in, yes, sir. The elevator door was hardly shut when he came walking in, looking like the wrath of God.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Wait, I'll handle this. Just exactly how do you define the wrath of God?
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. Angry, blood in his eyes. Well, I certainly didn't mean to imply
Oscar,
anything.
you are absolutely positive that nobody got into the elevator between Mrs. Dorn and Draper Scott?
No, miss, nobody could have. They were no more than a minute apart, and the elevator only stops on the penthouse floor.
And with the service elevator locked at that hour, the only way in and out of that apartment is through that elevator.
Yes, sir. The only way.
So you won't be leaving for the office just yet?
No, I'm waiting for Dad to call. He's going to give me my assignment. I know what story I'd like to be covering this morning.
Oh?
The one in Chief Mallory's office with you.
I'm afraid the press wasn't invited.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're going down there. I'm sure Draper doesn't want to face this all alone.
Well, I'm not worried about how Draper will handle himself, but it won't hurt to have 2 lawyers present.
Mike, you're a lot more worried than you're admitting, aren't you?
Well, I'll stop worrying the minute all the facts of the case are in. Obviously, there's some missing pieces.
Well, it seems to me the answer is quite simple. All Margo has to do is to tell the police who assaulted her.
Yes, that would be the simplest solution. And now that she's regained consciousness...
She can clear Draper as soon as she's able to speak.
Of course, he hasn't been accused of anything.
But he was there. You know that. And he was angry.
Yes, I know. Well, I better get going.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Hey, Mrs. Carr, listen. Please, don't get upset. I'm not here to make no trouble.
Go away or I'll call the police.
Please, Mrs. Carr. Listen, you gotta help me out. Look, I came here to apologize. Come on. Please. Listen, if you don't accept my apology, they're gonna send me to jail. I'm telling you, they're ready to throw the book at me. You know, just because I wanted you to write that note.
You forced me to write that note, Benny. You threatened me if I didn't.
Hey, I didn't threaten you. I needed you to help me out. You know, you owed it to me after what you did to me, after all your promises.
I did not break my promise to you about the immunity, Benny. Not intentionally. I found out what happened. I had said something to somebody.
You did say something.
Look, I'm not trying to avoid the blame.
Yeah, meanwhile, now I got a 30-day jail sentence hanging over my head because of you.
But you hurt me, Benny. And that was wrong, no matter what provoked you.
Yeah, well, how about if I make up for that now?
What are you suggesting?
How about if I give you what you wanted in the first place? My life story. Huh?
No.
No, I mean the truth this time, Mrs. Carr. The whole truth. Not any, what'd you say, hearts and flowers. You know, I swear it. I'll tell you how I got started in the business, how I operate, everything. I'll show you the whole thing. Huh?
How could I trust you?
Just give me one more chance. Just one more. Look, I'll even show you where I get this stuff. All right? We got a deal? Come on. Come on. What do you say?
Benny, that's, I've been waiting for that phone call. It's very important. Look, can we talk about this some other time, all right? Just some other time.
Oh, you bet we'll talk about it some other time.
Cliff, why don't you catch up on your reading in your own office?
Oh, I don't have a newspaper in my office.
Be my guest. Take mine.
Well, you read it, huh? What do you think of the Margo Dorn story? This guy's supposed to be your best friend? How about that? Boy, who'd have believed it? Mild-mannered attorney steps in the elevator and emerges as a hulking avenger.
If you're saying that Draper attacked his mother-in-law, you're obviously not reading the same story that I read.
I'm just reading between the lines, boss.
Between the lines?
Hey, that's our job, you know. We are lawyers. You're right. It doesn't come right out and say that he did it, but if he didn't, who did, huh? Yeah, here. Yeah. The doorman says, quote, "There wasn't anybody else but those two up there," unquote.
The investigation hasn't even started yet.
Sure
That's
it
just a
has. It says
preliminary-
right here, intensive police investigation.
Will you forget it? He said he didn't do it, so he didn't.
Simple as that, huh?
Simple as that.
Boss, why do you have all those books up there on the wall? I think you need a bit of professional advice. You know, you're supposed to be the district attorney, the chief prosecutor. Now, I don't think it'd be good for your image if you let it known that because somebody says they didn't do it, that's enough evidence for you.
I'm not talking about somebody. I'm talking about a man I've known for years, ever since I came to
Well,
Monticello.
then obviously, you don't know him very well. Look, we are always hearing stories about how some nice, law-abiding citizen suddenly goes crazy and starts killing people. And this was his mother-in-law. Now, that's an honored American tradition, isn't it? I mean, hating your mother-in-law? Except in this particular case, pretty boy Scott got carried away.
I think you better leave now. We both have a lot of work to do this morning.
Wait a minute, now, do you have a hulking avenger act, too?
Get out of here, would you?
Okay, I'm going. You are turning a bit green around the edges. You know, a bit of advice, boss. And if I were you, when I go over to your pal Draper's house, I'd be careful when he suggests poking the fire. Okay, I'm gone.
Kathy, is there any answer at the Scott place yet? Still, huh? Okay, well, try it in half an hour. Thanks.
No, I didn't call Margo earlier. My wife told me she was out at a political meeting with Geraldine Saxon.
That's not so, Draper. From our information, we know that Margo didn't leave her apartment all day. Didn't even go to the TV studio.
Well, my wife thought she was out then.
Maybe that's just what she wanted you to know. Give you a chance to cool down. You did say you were getting a little hostile towards your mother-in-law,
No, I didn't say that. I said I was damn angry with her.
Draper, don't exaggerate. You were upset with Margo because of what you learned in New York. And I realize you want to be candid, but don't overdo it.
I also want to be honest, Mike. I was angry with Margo, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go up there
Why
and...
don't you tell us what it was you learned in New York?
I found out that Margo was responsible for my not getting a job that I wanted.
With the firm of Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside.
That's right. Mrs. Henson, the widow of the man who vetoed my appointment, wrote me a letter. She said she wanted to talk to me about it.
And that's why you went to New York?
Yeah, I had client business there, but that was the main reason.
So that really meant a great deal to you.
Of course it meant a great deal to me. I wanted the job. I couldn't figure out why the man stood in my way. Mrs. Henson told me his veto was a favor to Margo.
Draper, why do you think it was so important for Margo to keep you from getting this job?
Because she didn't want her daughter to leave Monticello.
Which would have meant you would have had to relocate.
Yeah.
So you finally were able to reach Margo by phone at 7 o'clock, is that right?
That's right. I called Margo, and I said I wanted to come over right away. She said no, because she had an errand to run. I was to give her an hour.
It takes about half an hour to get over to Oakdale from your house, doesn't it?
That's right. I left around 5 minutes after 7. Thought a long drive would cool me down. I got to the apartment building around 10 minutes of 8. I parked the car and I sat there and I waited for her.
And you saw Margo enter the building?
That's right. I saw her. I followed her right in. She was already going up in the elevator. The doorman said that she had left instructions for me to go right up.
So you went up immediately?
Yeah, the elevator came back and I went up.
And what happened when you got there?
Well, I walked in and the terrace doors were open. The room was dark. I found the body. I couldn't tell whether she was alive or dead. I knew it was serious, though. I called for an ambulance. And then I heard a noise out on the terrace. I went out and I looked, and it was the wind. It knocked over one of those trees she had up there.
Is it true when Detective Guthrie got to the apartment, you had smudges of soot on your hands?
Yeah. I picked up one of those fireplace tools when I heard the noise. I figured if the assailant were still there, I should have some sort of protection.
I see.
And then I took the fireplace tool around with me when I checked out the rest of the apartment. I was sure. I mean, I was positive that the person who did this had to be still in the apartment.
Why do you say had to be?
Because I waited for Margo. I saw her go in. I saw her go into the elevator. I took the very next elevator up there. The person had to be up there.
Draper, it's not up to you to speculate. Obviously, there was an assailant. How he managed this sleight of hand is a police question. Don't you try to answer it.
Yes?
He said it was all right?
Yes, please come in, Mrs. Scott.
Has she said anything?
No, but she opened her eyes a few minutes ago. Her pupils are dilated, and I don't think she saw me, but perhaps she'll see you.
Margo, it's April.
Remember, I made no promises.
Margo, can you hear me? It's April. Oh, God, please get well. Dr. Corwin says that you were awake a little while ago. Please wake up now. Please. Doctor, look, her eyes are opening.
Yes, but I don't think she can see us.
Margo, can you see me? Okay, that's okay. Will you just listen? Margo, please try to speak to us. Please try to tell us what happened that night. Anything, just one word. Oh, Margo, it's important. You have no idea how important it is. Please. Doctor, she said something.
Well, she made a sound anyway.
Margo, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what happened to you. It was terrible. But something else is happening now, Margo. Something because of it. Margo, there are people that think that Draper is responsible for this. But he couldn't have done it, could he? I'm sure the only reason they think he did it is because he was alone with you in the apartment. But he couldn't have been alone, could he? There had to be someone else there who did this thing to you, who hurt you. Gotta tell someone.
Mrs. Scott, I don't think she can hear you.
She's gotta hear me. She's gotta understand, Margo. Draper is down at police headquarters. They suspect that he did it. He couldn't have done it to you, right? He couldn't have done this to you.
I think she's trying to say something.
Margo, please, I beg you. Please tell me that Draper is innocent. What? No.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find, always on our mind, and frustrated days pass without sight.